fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, back at my desk after a whirlwind week at the International Tackle Show in Orlando, Florida last week. Hundreds of products, probably thousands of products at ICAST. But what we have done, Matt Broderick and myself, is we've kind of whittled the array down to just the hottest products that you're going to see here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic from some of the popular manufacturers, a lot of the manufacturers you've grown to love, as well as a couple of new ones you've never heard of. But they will be here in our market in a matter of days. Some of them are out right now, but some are days away, weeks away. There will be new product releases all the way through the fall up until 2022 and into the new year. Now, we have 2 video spotlights a week for the next 20 or so weeks. With my interview with Mark Mills at Daiwa kicking things off on Thursday, July 29th, which is today as we're bringing this video. Now, Daiwa, they happen to be kind of the big winners at ICAST this year. They won 2 product showcase awards for reels. They won both the freshwater with their Zillion release, and they also won saltwater with Saltiste. And that is going to be, that particular Saltiste is going to be available in a matter of days or weeks. And the sizing on that reel is perfect if you want to get in on some of the tuna jigging. And the tuna jigging, the tuna action, from what I found out while the cat was away, was pretty solid last week. We had a great report this week from field editor Tom P., who said canyons are producing at a good clip, white and blue marlin bites are on the upswing, and he said mahi in midsummer numbers at the inshore, mid-range, and offshore pots, and under some of that flotsam. So that's a good thing to keep in mind as you're heading out looking for some of that trash in the water, stupid balloons that are blowing offshore, the lobster pots, or maybe find yourself a piece of wayward lumber. Longtime subscriber Bill Hudak, he was fishing just 8 miles out last week while I was gone, put 5 mahi in the box, including a 47-inch personal best. Subscribers, don't forget, if you're a member of the Fisherman magazine, you're a subscriber, you've got that dream boat contest. I think Bill was too busy cleaning the boat and cleaning his fish when he got back, didn't weigh it in. But mahi is a wide open category in the dream boat contest right now. So if you get yourself a good mahi, make sure you bring it into your local tackle shop and get a weigh in and get in on that. We'll have more on the dream boat in just a minute. We did also get some good reports while I was gone. Talked to a couple of people last Friday, Thursday or Friday. They said, geez, bluefin are blowing up. We're seeing them 1 mile, 2 miles outside of Manasquan Inlet. So yeah, we're getting some reports of bluefin just outside, just off the beach, like within a mile or 2. I did get an email from Duncan Hathaway, who said he, his father Todd, and his buddy Liam Kelly fought this 71-inch bluefin just off the beach while tossing a mad mantis popper aboard their 24-foot cobia. Again, if you're heading out, even just for the inshore grounds, looking for some of those bluefin, don't forget your HMS permit. Do not get busted without that. That goes to your vessel. And again, 71 inches is a monster right now because 73 inches is the top end of the slot for bluefin. But it's good to see those fish around. We heard from Captain Ralph Lair aboard the Last Lady. He had his wrestling buddies out earlier this week out of Shark River Inlet. The grapplers had no problem pinning a pair of bluefin 52 and 30 inches before they got back to the dock at 2 p.m. That is a great day. Sticking with some of that offshore bite, the namesake of Miss Leanne's sport fishing out of Forked River, Leanne Lopez, well, she was up from Miami over the weekend, deep dropping aboard the Nora Angela out of Beach Haven, 38-pound golden tilefish. That's one of the things that Tom P. says is the tilefish bite has been hot for those who are looking to deep drop at the canyons. And speaking of deep drops, while swordfish action has not exactly been on fire, Jim Cermak sent me this shot from the southwest corner of the Hudson during a weekend overnighter this past weekend. They were out of Waretown. Brett, Jim Cermak, and their friend Mike Niemasinski. The big sword hit a squid about 200 feet down. They estimated that big fish at about 250 pounds. Now, if we had farther south into Atlantic, Cape May County, and along the Delaware coast. It sounds like from the reports we're getting from folks like Hands 2 Bait and Tackle out of Cape May, it's the Toms, the Spencer, the Wilmington, and Poor Man's. Lewis Harbor Marina also said the Baltimore was quote-unquote hot for yellowfin to 45 pounds. Not massive fish, but that's good to know that some of those yellowfin are out there. If you're looking to get into some of the offshore action and you're down in Delaware, make sure you stop by Lewis Harbor Marina this Saturday, July 31st at 1 p.m. They're having their, it's almost like a mini ICAST event, but they've got a bunch of offshore manufacturers in the shop this Saturday. So if you're looking to get geared up, go to Lewis Harbor Marina this Saturday. If you are heading offshore in the next few days, just keep your eyes on the NOAA weather update. It looks like a cold front is forecast to move southeast over the area in the next couple of days into Saturday. It's expected to stall a bit, and a series of low pressure centers will move northeast along the front. This could change in a matter of moments, but again, choose your windows accordingly. Be ready to go out, be ready to cancel, but be ready to pick up on a following day as well. In terms of the inshore fluke grounds, I have to say it appears things are looking up, especially on those reefs and rock piles at this point. Robert Goldstein let me know that he hit him up pretty good earlier this week with Jerry Postorino aboard the Fishmonger. Robert said there was no wind, no drift, just an experienced skipper, Captain Jerry, able to work that boat and do some magic. So the fluke bite is starting to turn on some of those offshore sites, or I say offshore, just outside the inlets as opposed to Back Bay. John Azanaro let me know about a good trip for Highmar Striper Club member Sam Mancino aboard Highmar Fishing Club member Len Fantasia's wave dancer last week near Sandy Hook. I remember Len. I see Len every year at one of the events. One of the guys responsible for our great bunker fishery along the coast. Anyway, here's Sam with a nice brace of fish, a 10-pounder and a 7-pounder. So it's good to see some of that Raritan Bay action starting to heat up. Always the land of the giants, so it's time to get out there and look for some of those big fluke. Oh, by the way, salmon, red gulp, and bucktail did the trick here. And again, I mentioned hitting the reef and wreck sites for some of the best fluke action. If you're up on the Raritan Bay, you're looking at some of that deep water. But down along the coast, maybe the rattlesnake, you're looking at Axel, Carlson, Reef. Axel has been really hot from what I'm hearing from some of the folks. Barnegat Light Reef has all that new graveyard structure, those gravestones that are scattered about. You'll see numbers. If you go to the Fisherman magazine as a member, you've seen that article. And of course, down through Garden State South, and then Atlantic City, Wildwood, Ocean City, Cape May, all those reef sites, and especially the reef sites off of Delaware. Might also be time to lose some tackle at some of the sticky stuff like the old grounds as well. If you are sticking in the back bays looking for summer flounder at the Jersey Shore, you'll want to find some of that deeper, cooler water, or try to keep yourself as close to the inlets as possible. I did hear from Mike Zlagowski in the area of Grassy Sound fishing with his crew on Saturday, a lot of throwback fluke. So that's where we get into that situation where you're going to get some action in the back, but most of the time it's some of those smaller fluke. He also had some bluefish, and he had a weakfish as well. So good seeing some of those weakfish still hitting along the channel edges. Mike also reported schools of bunker being chased around by rays and sharks down there in Cape May County. I heard the same report in Atlantic County over the weekend from the folks at Ray Scott's dock in Margate, who said a bunker invasion in back with slot-sized stripers whacking baits underneath. Just remember your circle hook mandate, guys. If you do experience some of those bunker and you're not throwing a net but you're snagging baits, make sure you transfer those baits over to an inline circle hook. That is your rule, your regulation. Make sure to get up and online with those inline circle hooks. Oh, something I learned at ICAST for you circle hook fans, or not. Eagle Claw has just released their bait holder style inline circle hooks. We talked a lot about that in the spring. So if you're clamming in the surf for striped bass this summer, or you're looking to get back into the worming at some point later on this year, look for those Eagle Claws with the bait holder style hook to hold those clams and worms in place. Back to those weak fish. As you find some peanut bunker at some point, put some in the live well. Hopefully you have one. Makeshift live wells work well as also. But just a couple of years ago, I was fishing with Guy Buono up on Raritan Bay, and he would cast net these peanut bunker and put them on a jig head. It's a great presentation if you're working a creek mouth or an old boulder field, some old back bay rubble, or along the bulkheads when there's no boat traffic. It's a good way of getting into some of those weak fish who are piling up on the peanut bunker. Again, also really a good idea on the outgoing tide outside of a creek mouth. If you're looking to score on weak fish, or maybe a couple of those back bay stripers as well. Always look forward to taking advantage of that hatch. But again, if you're looking to get out front for some fluke and you have a smaller boat that only stays in the back bay, that's like me. I only keep my little 20 center console in the back bay. Or maybe you want to try a different part of the state where the bite's good or where they're fishing on some of that sticky stuff. Just about all of our party boats at the Jersey Shore at this point are doing daily trips for fluke, and some of them are getting into some jumbos. I know Josh Taylor recently came in from his Sweetwater antics to load up on the flatties aboard the Jamaica 2 just the other day. It has been hot at the Jersey Shore, and the fluking is getting much better. But I do hear that things are getting even hotter on some of the areas around the Passaic with pike, and nights are getting a little cool out in the Poconos. So says my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, the summer heat looks like it's giving way to some cooler temperatures coming our way. I mean, the 90s and stuff we've been dealing with is yielding to highs in the 70s here in the Poconos this coming weekend. And I'll tell you what, lows at night in the 50s, and we've even touched the 40s the past couple of nights. So that cooler weather is certainly going to bring these temperatures in the water off of their highs and hopefully kick off a great bite there. Now, we're starting to see some of this already. Some guys out fishing some of these cooler water fish. You know, Justin Lerner checked in, said he's getting some great pike fishing. Now, you normally don't think of pike in midsummer, but he was out in the Passaic River throwing some big spinner baits and got into a couple of really nice pike out there in the Passaic. Great tactic to use midsummer. Now, also, the cooler weather is drawing in some of these fly fishermen for the trout. Eric Goodstall checked in, getting some of these native brookies in some of these cool mountain streams. So it's good enough you can get them hooked and released safely with this cooler water. So challenge yourself, get out there, break out that fly rod, and get into some of those native brookies here midsummer. Now, don't forget, we got the traditional fishing as well, you know, the largemouth, smallmouth stripers, but even the big catfish guys are starting to get out. Josh Taylor and his good friend Steve Kolnick were out, and they teamed up and got into a couple of really nice flatheads. Great tactic, you know, the live bait on the bottom, and hold on for those huge flathead catfish. Out on the Schuylkill this time, you got the Schuylkill, the Susquehanna, and even the Delaware now are yielding great flathead catfish. So hopefully there's a bunch of good fishing to come. Jim, I am looking forward to all the great stories from ICAST. I can't wait to see all them. But for now, you guys get out and get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Well, hopefully, George, we will get you down to ICAST with us in the next year or two. I saw quite a few old friends, good friends at ICAST. Jen Wong was running around doing things. I saw my buddy Rich Dunn, Toby Lipinski, who's working for another business magazine now. Also bumped into Nick Honicheski, of course, from the Saltwater Underground, and he's our Beach Talk field editor. He and I spoke last week at ICAST about that marlin that was in the surf and then made its way into the Manasquan River. Well, Nick and I were talking about we expected that Spanish mackerel invasion to start. That was pretty darn accurate. In fact, Nick's Beach Talk report this week at thefisherman.com, he said Spanish mackerel were popping up all over. Phil at the Tackle Box said it about Sandy Hook. It was down along the Ocean County stretch, all that Monmouth County stretch as well. And hopefully you'll see some of those Spanish mackerel, maybe a bonita or two in the Atlantic and Cape May County suds as well. Actually, Nick had himself a monster. He estimated it at nearly 40 inches. Said it was dumping the drag. He said it went aerial a couple of times. You got to look at it 40 inches before it spit the hook in the surf. Nick is convinced that was a state record Spanish mackerel, which, by the way, 9 pounds, 12 ounces by Donald Kohler off Cape May back in 1990. So that's what you're gunning for. It's a light tackle fishery if you're looking for some of those Spanish mackerel. Tyler Spader is a local Spanish mackerel sharpie here at the Jersey Shore who said he's been on them using the Mad Mantis sand eel jigs. Now, if you're wondering how good they are to eat and how simple they are to clean, try to find Tyler on Instagram. His account is Spader underscore fishing. Spader underscore fishing. He's got a great video of slicing up one of those Spanish mackerel. I hope I didn't say it. Did I say albacore before? Spanish mackerel. I don't want to eat any of those false albacore. Spanish mackerel. Very tasty. Again, keep your eye out on the surf line. Look for a tern. Maybe one of those terns that's kind of hovering overhead, looking down into the surface of the water. That's a good sign. If you see some of those terns wheeling and diving as well, you'll also see some of those Spanish mackerel going airborne from time to time as well. And maybe you'll tie into a king mackerel or perchance a bonita. And I love the bonito with an O. The bonita, that's a different species for the most part down south. Bonita are very tasty, and I'll tell you what, the hardtail category in our coastal kayak clash is another one that is wide open right now. So for you kayak anglers who like to compete, here's an update from our New England managing editor, Dave Anderson.
We had one really impressive entry come in this week from Rashawn Williams. He topped the fluke category with a 31-incher. It's going to be a tough one to beat up there. That gives him 3 points for the tournament and puts him well within striking distance of the of first place with just a couple of quick entries. He could overtake everybody. The other thing that we had was an upgrade to the Sea Robin, the third place Sea Robin for Bob Wagner. It doesn't change the points at all, but it just kind of solidifies that position for him with a 16.5 incher. And the leaderboard didn't change. We still have a three-way tie for first place. The other thing that was kind of fun, though, is that we got a few entries finally for the Fish of the Month. And Bob Wagner right now is leading that with an 18.25 incher. And not too far behind him is Ken Stark with his 17 3/4 incher. There's still time to get that July Fish of the Month, and certainly plenty of more time to find your way to the top of the leaderboard in the CKC. Get your entries in as soon as you can. Keep fishing, and we'll see you guys next week.
And of course, the other contest we have here at the Fisherman Magazine is our members-only subscribers tournament, the Dream Boat Fishing Challenge. And I'll tell you, a spot that's wide open there on that board right now is Blackfish. Now, while a lot of folks don't consider the summertime to be tog season, I will remind you that as of August 1st, we get our one fish bag limit again, so you might as well hit the jetty rocks and look for yourself. Try to get one of those nice tog. Most of the tog at this point are smaller. You may have to work a little bit harder on those jetties to get a keeper. You can pick up some crabs. I'm sure most of the tackle shops will start carrying some of those greenies at this point. You can also use some sand crabs as well. I'll tell you what you want to do. This week, the August edition of the Fisherman Magazine is out on newsstands and in tackle shops. Look for the New Jersey edition. It's got a fluke on the cover. You'll see Brandy Roos on the cover of the New Jersey edition with a nice fluke. But inside, when you flip inside the Fisherman Magazine, you've got all that great glossy editorial, some great content in there. But if you want to look for some local advice here in the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region, look for that table of contents. You will see in that table of contents local features stories on those speedsters that we were talking about before, bucktailing stripers in the back, that's Lee Wakefield, wrangling snakeheads on the freshwater, and jigging tuna along the offshore grounds. Max Christensen takes you through some of the jig assortment if you're looking to get out to the Triples or the Atlantic Princess for some of those yellowfin. And then on page 22, my friend Ed Masunas has a good article on jetty togging. He'll cover everything from jigs to rigs. And when you're baiting up at this time of year, who knows? You might even encounter a sheep's head as well. Again, if you're a subscriber, Dreamboat Mahi is wide open. Blackfish, wide open. And with black sea bass still an option here in Delaware and New Jersey this summer, you can put a humpback on the board. get yourself into the prize contention, possibly even a gator bluefish if you encounter as well. Subscribe to our YouTube page for the latest updates on these videos that I'm talking about that start this week. You'll get all the product reviews for the next few weeks, but also make sure you subscribe to the Fisherman magazine. It's just $29 for the year, but that'll get you all tied in to the tactics you need to get you through every month, 1 month at a time, plus the digital weekly access as well. Finally, congratulations to these 9 proud New Jerseyans, and some of them posthumously, and their families for being honored by Governor Murphy this week. Rest area designation. You know, these are the Trenton initiatives that make me so proud to live here at the Garden State. Rest area designation. You know, I'm working on that myself from my old high school, Southern Regional High School. I'm hoping to get a couple of the porta potties named in my honor. Wish me luck. If I have luck, I will let you know, because there's going to be a big ribbon cutting ceremony, everything. It's going to be great. Catch them up this week, my friends. I will see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.